chip. So now, these Asiatics have been transacting business in alien names, right? All right, and they're held by bond to that, am I correct? And it's based in contract, am I correct? Are they Smith, Jones, and Johnson?
No.
Contract void.
That's right.
Were they doing these things in their proper self?
No.
Were they in their proper mind?
No.
Well, contract law says they must have free will, they must have a clear and free conscience, and it must be mutual.
Right.
Most of the people that are in those systems are there for economic hardship, am I correct? Europeans stole their resources and set up a colorful government in order to regulate their resources, am I correct?
Yes.
By international law, they have an obligation to dispense some of the energies back to the people, am I correct?
Yes.
With no counter obligations, am I correct?
Yes.
They're in violation of international law. However, they do have some jurisdiction due to the fact that these Asiatics are using their names, and they're using that in an argument of abandonment to get over. So that's where your argument should be.
You can sue.
You doggone right. I'm just telling you the basis of what the suit should be on. Islam, and then step up. Oh, yeah, he was first. Islam.
Islam. I hold a New York driver's license. Islam. I hold a New York driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Bay.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't have the Bay on my driver's license. We talked here.
You don't?
No. We talked here about the fact that when someone sends you a letter in all caps, you should indicate that it's grammatically incorrect.
And the fraud. It's listing you as a corporation.
Okay. So it's apparent to me that the fact that the driver's license I hold appears in all caps, that the person being identified by that document
Is a straw man.
Is a straw man, is a corporation. Okay. Is an artificial entity.
Yes.
Now, if I want to represent myself before
You won't.
any administrative body
You won't.
as a natural person,
You won't.
why would I want to have my Bay on
I'm
my
gonna repeat,
driver's
you won't.
license? And then it'd be literally.
Well, why would you have the driver's license? Why would you even say, why would I have my Bay on a driver's license? So what are you going to do? You going to argue as a Bay for this straw man?
My notion is, I believe that as a business owner, I can effectively manage the fact that I, as a natural person, control many artificial entities.
Mm-hmm.
And one of which may be an artificial entity in the name that appears on my driver's license. But
That's not your driver's license.
Okay, in the driver's license that I hold, you're right, it's the property of someone else. In any event, I believe that I am able to represent myself as a natural person, the representative of this artificial person that doesn't really exist.
Now what you do, no, this is what you do. You cannot re-present yourself. When you go before court, I present myself. Now you command they present themselves. Now, what you're doing, you're coming there to respond to the matter concerning the corporation of this state-issued document for commercial travel on the public highways, and you want clarification from this court whether they're talking about transporting on paper or they're talking about the public highways, which are regulated by international law and rights of travel, or they talking about the paperwork of this or New York corporation, and then you want to also produce a copy of the state seal when it was established, the private corporation. Now, are you talking about some transaction that took place on some paper, or are you talking about travel, right of travel on the public roads? Because there's two different things. Now, the right of travel has nothing to do with privilege. Now, if you're talking about some instrument that was done that I'm not aware of, where somebody drew something on a line on a piece of paper in this corporation, and then I received some benefit from that, I'm not aware of that. Can you introduce it into evidence? I mean, do you see where I'm going with that?
Yes, I do, and I wasn't aware of that.
But you don't represent yourself. Remember, no one can represent you, and you can't represent you. You can present you.
I appreciate that. And I believe
Soon
that.
as you say represent, you create an artificial jurisdiction.
Okay, and a closely related point is the doctrine of idem sonans. And idem sonens means if the thing sounds the same, it is the same. It may be treated as the same, which allows a court or judge to, if your name is Terry Williams, it doesn't matter whether it's spelled T-E-R-I, T-E-R-I-E, T-E-R, anything that would phonetically make the same sound falls under the law or doctrine of idem sonens. Okay. Now that's my point about putting, one of the things that my opinion is that I've been successful at going before administrative officers
Yes.
and presenting myself. They say they call the name.
Yes.
Okay, and I go before the administrator and I say, my name is T. Williams Bay. I'm
Special appearance.
yeah, making a special appearance by limited appearance, special appearance, restricted appearance, and I say I'm representing or I'm here I'm appearing in the matter of the case and the number that they've cited, and then they say, where's the defendant at? And I told the hearing officer, the defendant, as you call him, that person in all caps, is an artificial person. He's not a natural. He's not a man or woman.
He's not a breathing entity.
Yeah, so I say he can't appear. I'm appearing for him. So I'm separating myself from the artificial entity.
Yes, XREL.
Appearing in. And I've been effective at doing that, a couple of times. And so one of the things that I do is I don't want to be caught up in idem sonens. So I feel that as long as I'm coming before an administrator saying I'm the natural person appearing for the artificial person who doesn't really exist in life, it's appropriate for me to let that legal entity, that artificial entity, appear in the legal name that my mother and father, put on the birth certificate they were tripped into signing in the hospital delivery room. And then when I appear in my natural, and when I present my true self, I
understand your argument. Your argument on the principle of law is valid. However, they can still get you on fraud for transacting business in the European names. They still have jurisdiction. Now, you can bounce around them, and they probably will, give you a little bit of leeway because your consciousness will teach people it's in that court. And I'm sure sometimes they'll clear the court, according to what, who's there. Which you already know, a lot of times Moors in the court, they'll clear the court. Because they don't want the Asiatics to learn. But the deal of it is, recognize this. The principle of impropriate persona sui juris, for you to have standing at law, you already know that if you're in there, even if you're not pleading, if you're dealing in that jurisdiction, it's just like pleading. So you're in the jurisdiction because you're arguing it. So the court has jurisdiction because you just gave it. Then you're transacting business in their name, and you gave it. However, this straw man, as a benefit to yourself that you are dealing with this matter, you're dealing with the matter of an instrument or being, though straw, that still belongs to them. Or you see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
Now, what they can do, because they see a little bit, is, because they don't want anybody else start doing this, is, chill out a little bit, or tell you sit down, they'll do a few other cases and bring you back because they want to reduce the numbers of people in court. And they might reduce stuff, or etc. Yes, or sometimes just dismiss it, but they're not going to do it all the time. What we want to do, and what we're leading to do, is whereas the people claim their right to travel, that they no longer use these instruments. And we're working towards it not being necessary, a necessity for you to have to use this to impede your free travel of the land, particularly by a foreign entity using foreign law in corporate capacity and listing the people fraudulently as corporations and then binding them to these obligations that you would have it in the first place only to keep the highwaymen off you, which is why you're doing it, which I understand why you're doing it. And then having to learn, it's like jumping in the doo-doo pool, talking about, I'm jumping in the doo-doo pool, but, the sis turned me on to stuff, and, I'm learning how to swim through the doo-doo. Well, no. Let's start talking about not jumping in the doo-doo pool. And let's start getting it going in that direction. Rather than learning the art of fighting people who are actually criminally abusing you. So we're going to deal with suits against the driver's license first as an identity. So the ultimate argument that I'm presenting to you today is what you're going to start writing to the so-called representatives is commanding the production and the institutionalization of a national identity card.